All right. Thank you, Senator Blackshear, for doing this interview with me today. And I just want to get your reaction to how things went with today's committee vote for Ohio Senate Bill 56.
Yeah, I mean, a little disappointed.
Sure.
Senate Bill 56 does the complete opposite of what the voters voted on issue 2 overwhelmingly last year. So myself and Senator DeMore, we offered just a few amendments to try to scale back on some of the things that they're trying to do with that piece of legislation. So just a little bit disappointed. And then also, too, how fast this legislation is moving. I mean, we're in February, so we just started, and I believe that we should have had more conversations, allow people to come in and testify just a little bit more on this bill, because I've heard from people all around the state how it's going to affect their business, how it's going to affect the community, and then also too those individuals that work for them, how it's going to affect their jobs. So I heard from people from all over. I listened, and I tried to take steps to scale back on a lot of the things that this bill is trying to do. So now it's over to the House, where we actually got to vote on it on the Senate floor. So I'll be speaking on the floor against Senate Bill 56. So hopefully, it doesn't go anywhere. But if it does, which it most likely will go over to the House, we need people to continue to advocate, let their voices be heard, because this is a major issue that is happening.
I want to get your reaction to the amount of veterans who showed up to testify. I've been to other testimonies, and sometimes a lot of people are scared to testify. But I noticed we had a lot of veterans' voices that were heard, from business owners to medical cannabis patients. What's your reaction to that? Do you think this is them coming out, trying to, let the legislator know that there are a lot of people invested in this, including veterans, who sometimes have a lot of trouble navigating when it comes to this marijuana stuff?
I think one thing I've seen throughout all of the testimony that I was able to sit in and listen to, we have people from all over, business owners, veterans, people from all over. And the thing about the veterans, they served our country. I believe that it's best that we listen to a lot of things that they had concerns about with Senate Bill 56, which they came in and expressed. And like I said, I just believe that Senate Bill 56 is doing the complete opposite of what the voters voted on with issue 2. Basically, this is the legislature saying that the people have no clue what they're talking about. And that's just not the case, because it is the voters who got each and every one of us in these positions. So they're the ones that voted for us. So for us to essentially backtrack, take away from what they voted on overwhelmingly, I have to continue to emphasize that, it's just, a little disappointing.
All right. So a lot of this voting seems to be happening in a partisan way on party lines. Do you think some of your other Democratic colleagues have any ideas or any, I call it, audible plays they could pull to try to help, not necessarily, obviously, it's probably not going to be anything we could do to change what's happening in the Senate. But in the House, do you think there is some Democratic support there, and maybe even some Republican support for a more reasonable approach to the situation?
Yeah, and I can't really speak on exactly what they're going to do, but I do know that we do have some fighters over in the House. Of course, Democrats, and then we do have some Republicans as well who are against, Senate Bill 56. But I can't necessarily speak on the type of methods they're going to use, the type of amendments they may try to bring forth to include in this bill. But I do know we do have some fighters over in the House.
Okay. Now, something else I brought up when I was testifying was the need for some type of town hall meetings to be held to get more feedback from the community. Obviously, a lot of people are very afraid to come to the State House for obvious reasons, or security reasons, or just for health reasons. And I asked about, trying to have some type of public town hall forums to kind of get more feedback from community as a whole. Do you think the legislator or even the governor or anybody would be willing to entertain that? I've talked to many other people, like stakeholders, patients, and others who will be interested in something like that. What do you think about having something like that, like a cannabis town hall of sorts, to trying to get people's thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it is a good idea. One thing I will say, I would refer to, different senators and representatives in terms of the appetite of having something like that in district, just to let people know what's going on. One thing I always say when it comes to the legislature, there are a lot of things that happen here that a lot of people just don't know about.
Right.
But then also, too, it is tough for a lot of people to come to the State House, whether it's transportation issues, whether it's work, or like you said, they may be scared to come. I don't know. But we have to make sure that everybody's voice is heard, and we make it accessible for people to speak their mind. And hopefully, as a legislative body, we take notice of that, we take heed of that, and we try to implement those changes that works for everybody, not just some.
Now, another thing that I think has been a disconnect, and I think you can help shed light on this, explain to my viewers that there is a process to testify. A lot of people don't really understand how that works. And typically, it seems like a lot of times it's really just a lot of companies and other organizations. But how does an average person like myself, what is the process for them to be able to testify? How do they go through that?
So that's actually a great question. So actually, after committee, I had a lot of people come up to me. They said that my office was the only office that was responsive and gave them the information to be able to testify. This is the people's house, so we need to make sure that the people's voices are being heard. So what we have here is, you of course have sponsor testimony. That's where the bill sponsor, he or she gives their testimony on behalf of the bill and why they're pushing it. And then after that, you have proponent testimony. So those are the individuals who are in support of that piece of legislation. And then after that, you have opponent testimony and then interested party as well. So what we have here is there's a form, there's a sheet that you have to fill out 24 hours before that initial testimony is supposed to take place. You fill that out, you come in whenever we have committee, whether it's at 9 a.m. like it was today, or, if it's later on in the afternoon or in the evening, you come in, you give your testimony, and it will be recorded on the Ohio channel. So people are able to watch you give testimony. You're also able to get that footage and share it with your networks, whether on social media or via email. So the thing is that we need people to understand that you need to come up here. Now, granted, you can give written testimony as well, which will show up on an iPad and is documented. But I always encourage people, if you can, to try to come up to testify in person. That just does something, I believe. But if you're not able to, you're always able to submit written testimony.
All right. And then last question is, for people who are watching this, who are like myself, have been in the program, one of the first people to be a medical patient, and are extremely concerned about how some of these new changes to the law will impact cancer patients, terminally ill people, and people who are just suffering and, rely on medical cannabis for their pain relief. What is the most important thing that they should hear to give them any hope that, there still may be some other changes and things could get better? What would you like to say to them?
You must keep fighting. You must keep fighting. This is not the finish line. Of course, it just went over a hurdle. Not a hurdle, but it went over, out of committee. Now it's going to probably get passed out of the Senate. Now it's over to the House. But the fight isn't over. The fight isn't over. We need folks to come testify. We need folks to call their representatives and encourage them to either make changes to the bill, or if they're not willing to make any changes to the bill, to encourage their legislators to vote against it. We have to keep fighting. I know that may sound cliche. I know that may sound redundant. You hear that all the time. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. But you have to keep fighting, because that's the only way change can happen, is if we keep fighting. So I understand this is definitely disappointing, but the fight is not lost. So we must keep fighting to make sure we make the necessary changes, or if anything, we vote this bill down.
So people can still testify.
People can still testify now
in the House when they bring it.
Now it's over in the House. There should be more information in terms of what committee it'll be going to and ways in which somebody could testify over in the House.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time, Senator Blackshear. I appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you.